Thank you. Please be seated. Her Excellency Ellen Sherliff, the President of Liberia, thank you for being with us today. His Excellency President Thabo Mbeki, former President of South Africa. His Excellency Ian Ellison, the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, thank you for being with us. Her Excellency Dr. Zuma, the AU Chairperson, and the Chair of the outgoing Bureau of Conference of Ministers, His Excellency Albert Marbury, Minister of Planning and Development of Côte d'Ivoire. Honorable Ministers of Planning and Economic Development of Africa and others that are here with us, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me warmly welcome you all to Abuja, our capital city, for this joint annual meeting of Finance and Planning Ministers organized by the African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. I am pleased that we are able to oblige the request of the AU and UNICA to step in and host this important conference. I therefore thank my coordinating minister and Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance, and Central Bank of Nigeria, and the interministerial team that worked with UNICA and AU to prepare this important conference. But let me specifically appreciate the presence of some of you that are here, if not all. Let me appreciate the presence of President Sherliff. I'm not sure she slept up to 2 hours last night because we were all in Yamoussoukro together. By the time I left the airport, she had not even arrived at the airport, and I knew when I slept. So for her to be here this morning to join us, we need really to appreciate that. Let me also appreciate Ian Ellison, the UN Deputy Secretary General, for being with us in this great ceremony, a great man. Let me appreciate Dr. Zuma, the Chairperson of the AU, for being here. And my good friend Donald Kabreko, thank you for your being with us here. Of course, the Minister of Finance of France, I was not too sure I was going to see you. Even Mr. President mentioned to me when we were in the Netherlands, at The Hague, that you will be here with us. But I was quite pleased to see you. So thank you. Let me appreciate all of you, the finance ministers and other very senior functionaries of government that are here with us and our development partners. Today is a great day for Africa. It's often said that finance and planning ministers must be extremely tough to meet the daily menus of stress and surprises which their mandates attract. The finance minister is in prime demand when financing is required for any program. Planned programs of government, people want money. The same is true in matters of workers' remunerations in the public sector. Likewise, in monitoring economic indices and the negotiation of statutory agreements and international financial obligations. So, make no mistake, the seat of the finance minister was not conceived to be an easy one at all. I'm informed that Mr. Gordon Brown, former British Prime Minister and long-serving Chancellor of the Exchequer, did a calculation of the average tenure of a finance minister globally, and he put it at 2 years. So if you're a finance minister and you have survived more than 2 years, then we have to congratulate you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year's conference, Industrialization for Inclusive and Transformative Development in Africa, is of special relevance to Africa. At this time, here in Nigeria, it corresponds with the transformation agenda our ongoing programs of national renewal. I commend the organizers for their lucent topical definition with industrialization as pivot. The structural transformation of African economies must continue to be a core priority. To close the poverty gap, industrialization must be key to transformation. Africa's economies have come a long way since the difficult and challenging 1980s and 1990s. Within that period, most of our economies were saddled with high foreign debt and burdened by inflation. The overall GDP growth of our economies was very low, maybe about 2% per annum on the average. Today, our continent has turned the corner. Our foreign debts are in decline. Inflation is under control in most African countries, and foreign direct investments are positively flowing back into the continent. In fact, African diaspora are also investing robustly in our economies. Indeed, Africa's economies have grown at an average rate of about 5% per annum in the past decade, and this was almost double the growth rate for the global economy. In fact, some of the economies are even growing at double digits. I know that of Sierra Leone is about 14%. Encouragingly also, the continent was the second fastest growing region in the world after Southeast Asia. The signs of these positive developments are evident for all to see. The middle class is gradually growing in each of our countries and improving social indicators such as increasing primary school enrollment, gender equality, financial inclusion, housing programs, and also even female action against debilitating diseases like HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis. As impressive as all this, we cannot afford to rest on our oars. There are still many huge challenges ahead of us all in the continent. Across our continent, the benefits of our progress are still greatly restricted by inequality. We need to work together more vigorously to deal with these challenges and to make sure that much more of our people have opportunities for improving the quality of their lives. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our economies may be individually different, but they face common challenges. While some of our economies, including Angola, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon, are classified as commodity exporters, others, such as South Africa, Nigeria, Botswana, Mauritius, Namibia, Zambia, Ghana, are viewed as middle income and emerging economies. Still others like Ethiopia, Tanzania, Mozambique, Liberia, DRC, and so on, are perceived as frontier economies, energetically bursting into the scene. For Nigeria, we have just recently been classified as one of the mint economies, an acronym for Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Turkey, which are projected among the global economic giants in the near future. This notwithstanding, our diverse categorizations, differing starting points, and varied endowments in natural resources, all African countries face a common set of challenges which we need to firmly address. Some of the most urgent are industrialization, job creation, and building social safety nets. As the theme of this conference emphasizes, we need to focus on industrialization as the backbone of our structural transformation. The impact of the industrial sectors to the economic growth and development of Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Brazil are still as relevant as constantly cited. In Nigeria, we are learning from these examples. I recently launched our National Industrial Revolution Plan, which will help to increase the size of our manufacturing sector from 4% of GDP today to 10% of GDP by 2017. That is our target. I believe every strategic plan must have the focus, and so we have decided to focus our industrial plan on 4 areas: light manufacturing, agro-businesses, petrochemicals, and solid minerals and metals. However, let me underline that our continent's industrialization plans will not take off until we fix our infrastructure. For example, in power, we know that the entire African continent currently produces only about 2% of global electricity output. For transport infrastructure, the road linkages between our cities are not always in the best condition, and the transport links between our countries also need to be greatly improved. In Nigeria, we have made investments in infrastructure a key priority. We recently completed one of the most comprehensive power privatization programs in the world, involving 4 power generation companies and 10 distribution companies. The privatization process was transparently conducted and attracted international investors such as General Electric, Siemens, AES, and others. We have also liberalized the power sector to encourage further private investment and created a strong electricity regulatory authority to ensure proper standards. In addition, my administration has worked to resuscitate our existing railway lines while building a new modern standard gauge network, rehabilitate our major roads, upgrade our airport terminals, and dredge our inland waterways to encourage navigation. Earlier this month, we also commenced the construction of a second and most awaited River Niger bridge. For those of you who are used to this country, it's one of the major rivers. River Niger and the Benue traverse from the north to the south of this country. And you need major bridges at different intervals to improve communication. That's the project estimated for now at $730 million. That's about 117 billion naira. Well, the contract has been awarded. I hope there will be no variations. In Africa, greater cooperation across our countries is imperative to improve the continent's infrastructure. This is where institutions such as the African Union, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and the African Development Bank must play a strong leadership role, especially in promoting regional projects which require cooperation across countries. Only yesterday, myself, the President of Benin, President of Ghana, President of Cote d'Ivoire, signed a project for the Lagos-Abidjan Express Road. And we have to thank the African Development Bank because they promised to even give us a grant for the feasibility studies and the design. We are very hopeful that UN will come in here. Indeed, there are a number of such projects already in development. Because the Lagos-Abuja and Dakar highway we have just spoken about, they are sourced also in East Africa and South Africa. Nigeria will always support these regional initiatives, for which much of the progress towards actualization will be driven by the finance ministers who are here today. Your support and prompt attention to these regional projects when the African Development Bank, the African Union, and the UNECA come knocking at your doors will carry the hopes and aspirations of Africa closer to the ideal condition we're expecting. Creating jobs is another big challenge. In all our countries, there are large and growing youth populations who require jobs, as manifested in the youth bulge. No doubt, as ministers of finance and planning, you are fully aware of this growing and persistent challenge. Clearly, we need to redouble our efforts, not just to create conventional jobs in our various countries, but to optimize the potential of our youth through reorientation, and vocational training to open up more opportunities for self-employment. Since this is our goal in Nigeria, we have introduced various sectoral reforms and direct job creation programs, such as what we call the UN Business Plan Competition for Young Entrepreneurs. The Finance Minister of Nigeria will explain that more, but we give opportunities on young people who, if they have an acceptable business plan, government give them grants, not a loan, to take off. We believe that that will create a new generation of entrepreneurs that will be able to create jobs for others. Our reforms in the agricultural sector provided subsidized farming inputs to over 4 million farmers last year, including the dry season farmers. And this created additional 250,000 jobs in addition to the 4 million direct farmers. We also recently launched a mortgage refinance program, which will kickstart our housing sector and create jobs for the people in the building industry and other artisans. Overall, we estimated that about 1.6 million jobs, in fact, about 1.6 million jobs were created last year. But this is also not enough for a country like Nigeria, that the youth population is quite high. Another major challenge lies in the provision of safety nets for the poor in our societies. We should all be concerned that the recent economic growth across the continent has not been inclusive enough. In many cases, the poor and vulnerable members of our communities have been left behind, even while improvement indices are quite evident. As we grow our economies, it's our obligation to carry everyone along. We can learn from some of the social programs introduced in Latin American countries, such as Brazil and Mexico. However, we must ensure that the social protection programs we develop are financially sustainable and also reach the really deprived people who need our support. I hope that your session here will examine the aspects of inclusive development and come up with some good and practicable recommendations. To conclude, let me congratulate once more the African Union and the UN Economic Commission for Africa. Your successful anchoring of this conference. I'd like to especially commend the African Union for its ongoing work on Agenda 2063, which will provide a comprehensive development framework for member states for the next 50 years. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Africa's industrialization must remain in our focus in the coming years. I am confident that we will succeed if we, as leaders in government and in private sector, work in concert towards this coming goal. We must also continue to deepen our regional integration efforts in ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, in East Africa and North Africa, and also to work towards a continental free trade area to boost intra-African trade, as mentioned by the chairperson of the AU. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in this room, I see a group of dynamic and committed ministers of finance and economic planning from across the continent. You all have a major role in an ambitious and promising continental agenda. I believe one question that you will collectively find answers to before leaving Abuja is why is it that our economic growth is not being translated into job creation in the continent? Do we have to look at our own demographics? Is it because we are yet to shift away from the economy based on primary commodities? Is it because of lack of energy or power or inadequate energy or power? Is it because of corruption in government and in the private sector? Is it the key infrastructural issues? Is it because our governments are very unstable? Is it because of security issues? And whenever you mention security, I always remember that sometimes when you look at the characters that carry the weapons in the turbulent areas, including the northern part of my country, you see a young person carrying a rifle, AK-47, that's approximately more than $1,000. One AK rifle is more than $1,000. But the total things the person wears on his body, from the canvas to whatever he puts on, is not up to $50. So where is the money coming from that they are using to buy these expensive guns? And very poor, wretched boys carry these weapons to kill, destabilize societies, increase our problems in terms of the economic development of the continent. And there are some external forces that don't want Africa to grow that are providing these weapons. So you should therefore all work together as a team, exchanging ideas, sharing knowledge, and learning from each other's experiences. I charge you in particular to work together in sourcing financial options for regional infrastructure projects and closely with your cabinet colleagues in trade and industry to implement our plans on industrialization and trade integration. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor, privilege, and pleasure to formally declare this conference officially open. Thank you all.